Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Powerful on Purpose podcast, where we bring you amazing women with interesting stories, and they're using those stories to build businesses and create missions to change the world, dare I say, and I think I do dare. Today is no exception. I am Leslie Capps, your host, the founder of Author in 30, where my goal is to help you get the words out of your head and into the world. So let me tell you a little bit about today's guest because you're in for a super treat. Marissa Polselli is an intuitive writer, speaker, and voice reclamation specialist whose love of words began with her first library card at age 4, which I love, right? That is a lifelong reader.
Time.
The founder of Women Who Break the Pattern, Marissa knows firsthand what it costs to silence yourself and what becomes possible when you start refusing to silence yourself. After 18 years as an educator in a system that stifled her voice, she left everything she knew to become the first entrepreneur in her family, building a 6-figure business from the ground up. Today, she helps women trace the silences in their lives back through their matriarchal line, heal generational wounds, and create freer lives for themselves and the women coming after them. Because the most powerful story you'll ever tell is your own. Ooh, loving that. Super juicy. I was like, we're going to have to do a book, right? A book of women who have found this out and healed that line, right? Think of all the generational lines we could heal.
Count me in.
I was like, rubbing my hands as I'm like, ooh, Marissa and I, we got big plans coming up, people. So stay tuned. So super excited to have you, Marissa. And
Thrilled to be here.
love
Thank
what
you
you're
so
doing.
much.
So tell us, what's that story that's led you to do what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you so much, Leslie. I'm really thrilled to be here. So the story that I like to share with people about what it means to be a voice reclamation specialist is really the story of the point in my life when I figured out that I needed one. So I better become one, right? And as you alluded to, I was in education for 18 years. I was a high school teacher in inner city Philadelphia for 18 years. I was a department chairperson. I do not wish to paint any organization or group with a broad brush. This was simply my experience. But my experience was that it was a male dominated system, very patriarchal. And as you can tell from my shirt, patriarchy, I have reviewed it. I have given it 1 star. Very bad, would not recommend. So I ran up against a lot of that friction. As a department chairperson, it was my job to ensure the academic standards of the department. And there were men in the department who did not want to be told by a woman to do their job. So it really came to a head one day when a member of my department said to me, after I wrote a bad performance review because he only showed reruns of TV shows in his classroom instead of teaching, said to me, "You are a power hungry bitch who likes to lord it over other people."
Wow.
He also happened to be a priest. So he had just come off the altar and then said that to me. So there's a lot of layers of toxicity and wrongness there. And you know what, Leslie, the thing that's most telling is that I didn't say it. And I couldn't figure out why. I had just gone silent. There was some kind of switch inside of me that got flipped. And I knew that I was right. I knew I had earned that job. I knew that what I was saying needed to be said, and it was within my rights to say it. But I still clammed up. And it wasn't until I realized that some part of me had actually been waiting my whole life to be spoken to that way. That was a devastating realization. And I thought, that's not a confidence problem. That's an inheritance. And then I began digging. And I began digging into the story of my grandmothers, the women who came before me, the things that they faced. And there are many stories there, which we may or may not have a chance to share one of them, but it was through connecting with what I had inherited that I was able to understand where my silences came from. What was their origin? What did I come into this world already carrying with me? Both positive, because we inherit many beautiful things from our lineage. And I am not about wanting to disrespect our matriarchs who lived through things we cannot even imagine. And their survival techniques They needed them. But I also want to recognize that today we sometimes don't need what they needed. There are things we can let go of and still honor them. And I began to do that work for myself. And now that is the work that I help other women do. So that's what voice reclamation for me is really about, helping women look at the story of their voice, both before they were born, what got with them as like a package deal coming into this world, and then also in their own lives, like examining, what was the first time you were in a room and you felt the pressure that it would be safer if you were quieter? That's
Mm.
it. That's a big question, right? And those are the kinds of things that help us understand where we stand with our understanding of our own voice, what we actually know to be true, and we can begin to claim back our power in a way that honors those women who came before us.
I love that. So many, as you said, layers to that. And I think what woman out there hasn't at some point clammed up and thought, like that whole confusion thing, right? Like I'm within my right. What I don't understand why this person is attacking.
Hmm. Hmm. And it can very easily turn to self recrimination. Like, I'm a powerful woman. I'm a modern woman. I own my own business. I'm not some retiring wallflower. I have opinions. I'm really intelligent and articulate and accomplished. Like, I had traveled the world at that time. And I still let this man talk to me that way. And it's very easy to go down that rabbit hole of, there's just something wrong with me. I messed up. You didn't mess up. You didn't mess up. You are living someone else's survival pattern. And until you recognize it, can't be faulted for living by it. It's just sort of your operating system that you're running on, right? You don't fault a computer for running on an operating system, but we would fault our own flesh and blood, heart and soul for living on the operating system that we've inherited. No, we need so much more compassion than that.
Right, right. Absolutely. I think that's such an important point too, is starting with that self compassion, right? Because once we have that, we can have that for other people.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that I can think of a single woman who hasn't had an experience of being squashed or somehow intimidated. And we probably even talked about this a little bit. There's a self help guru out there who also uses that, right? That everybody lauds, and he uses that intimidation thing, which
Mhm.
why are we still putting hands down to that? Because it's meant to like scare people into some sort of change.
Yeah. Well, it works and it's got the weight of history behind it. So it falls
That's,
to
yeah,
us, in this generation. It's a beautiful opportunity. It's a blessing to be alive in this time and space because we have the opportunity to call that bullshit out for what it is.
absolutely. You're totally 100% right. And get together and call it out, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Just love all of this. Is there a particular story of, someone you've helped? And obviously, we don't need details, but where they came in and maybe they weren't even sure like what you do? Because I imagine some people are like, I don't get that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Right. And so putting it kind of in that context of they came in at this point and when they left, they experienced XYZ.
Yeah, I had a really beautiful experience, and I will absolutely anonymize this. In my most recent iteration of my introductory program, it's a 5-week program called Soul Story, and it's the program where women get introduced to voice reclamation. And one of my participants in this program came in really not, just kind of knowing that she wanted to be a little more firm in her voice. A lot of people who come in don't actually come in knowing the depth of the work. It's more about, I'd like to stand up for myself. I'd like to be a little more firm in planting my stake in the ground. And that absolutely happens, but it's so much deeper. And what she discovered this in the first week. Which is the week that we focus on connecting with the matriarchal line. She discovered that all of the things that she was most nervous about in her life, the things she was most scared of, were the very things that her grandmothers and great grandmothers were most proud of her for.
Mm,
And she left that. She left that session, that 90-minute session, totally blown away with this idea that she has this support in the spiritual realm, like wherever, whatever plane our forebears are living in, they're still connected with us, right? And she now is going through her life feeling like she's got a cheering section on the very things that she was most nervous and sort of like hesitant about before. And that's just one of many examples. It is, I don't know a single person, a single woman who has undertaken it and not experienced some deep personal transformation that was welcome, partially unexpected, and always beautiful.
And isn't that the thing about transformation, right? That what we think we're getting and what we end up with, two totally different ideas, and yet what we end up with is essentially what we needed. I love that story. That's very beautiful. And I mean, there's something super powerful too about having that matriarchal line cheering you on, right? Thinking about that in terms of, because we all need more cheerleaders, let's face it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of idea behind you has got to be super powerful.
You know, one of the most beautiful things about this work is the understanding that legacy is a two-way street. A lot of times we think of legacy as something that we inherit, right? And that we will pass on. It's just, it goes in one direction like a waterfall. It just goes down, right? But it actually is a two-way street. The things that we do can help heal the wounds of the women who came before us. We are literally breaking chains that they were unable to break for themselves in their lifetime. So it's no surprise that they are our cheerleaders, right? That we are literally the answers to the prayers that our grandmothers either whispered or shouted out to the heavens, right?
Right.
We
Yeah.
are their answers. And that relationship of healing and support, it in both directions. We affect them. That healing can go back generations. When you do something in your own life, you actually are changing and healing and breaking the bonds that were so oppressive to the women that you came from.
Right. Right. Ooh, super juicy. Got goosebumps on that one for sure, girl.
It does it for me too.
Right. Exactly. So what is the thing maybe that you're looking forward to the most, or maybe something new that you're thinking about doing within your business?
Yeah, I think that what I'm really excited about is the fact that this is something meant to have a global impact. I don't really consider, of course, I run it like a business because it has to be practical. But when I think of what I do, I don't think of it as a business. I think of it as a movement. And the movement is women who break the pattern because that is our generation. That's what we're here for. And so I am eager to see this movement become a groundswell that reaches women all over the world. And I believe that community is a pivotal part of that. So right now I have a little Facebook community. It's growing, it's mighty, it's active. Women really support each other and share their experiences on this journey. But I see so much more that is ready to unfurl. And I also see the creation of bespoke experiences, retreats, immersive experiences, in addition to, of course, the programs that I offer. I would love for there to be a vehicle for women to be able to step outside of their workaday lives and say, I'm focusing this week on voice reclamation, on connecting with my matriarchs and seeing how I can honor them, how I can free them, and how I can present something even more beautiful to the next generations. And I want to say one final thing about that, Leslie. When I talk about the next generations, I want to be really, really clear that that does not necessarily mean biological children. Sometimes we think of legacy as, for years, I don't have biological children. For years, I thought of legacy as something that I was disqualified from. And that was my own story. I mean, it's out there in society, but I internalized that being, not being a biological mom is something that has a lot of emotional charge to a woman. So I really want to stress to anyone who's listening that you are a legacy maker in the fact of your existence. You are a legacy unto yourself, and you will be passing on the healing and the beauty and the grace, whether these are to biological children, whether they are to nieces and nephews, whether they are not related at all, whether they're students, neighbors, someone you happen to know, or people you influence on social media. All of us have an impact in this world. All of us have a ripple effect beyond what we can even imagine. So I encourage every woman to own her place as a legacy, her identity as a legacy, regardless of how her life journey has provided her with people in different roles or not.
I so appreciate that you said that because I feel exactly like that. And it really hurts my heart. I've been in a community before where somebody kind of took issue with women who didn't have children. And at the end of the day, we're all women, regardless of that fact. And our bodies all have that capability. And so, needless to say, I'm not in that community anymore. But I think we don't say it enough, right? Because you're right. The society does tend to look on that, and somebody not having children, that can really affect your vision of yourself and how you interact in the world. And right, each individual is so important and has such a role to play in moving our planet in a positive direction.
Every woman is a life giver. It doesn't
Right.
have to be physically. Every woman is a life giver.
So bless you for bringing that to the forefront, because I totally resonate with that. And I see some of that happening out in the world. Oh, you don't know this because you haven't had a child. No, that has nothing to do with it. We don't have a whole lot of time here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about your shirt and the patriarchy, and how does this play into, do you work with men, or do you see men? I would expect they would have not the same, but maybe similar issues in their matriarchal line.
I love that you asked that question. I do not currently work with men. I love men. I consider myself a feminist. I am a very loving human being and loving woman. I am married to the love of my life. I respect men and honor them. And I recognize that the patriarchy has done them a disservice as well, not just women. I fully recognize that men have wounds to heal, and that there is ample opportunity for someone whose calling is to do that to come up alongside them. It is not my personal calling. And I think part of the reason is because my own, I think we become what we needed, and my own wounds prepared me to deal with the particular wounds that women incur. As much as I am an egalitarian, I also recognize that the traumas of power inequity and voice inequity have played out differently for men and women over the past millennia, right? There's is a different experience. So to me, it's not a matter of rejecting men. It's just a matter of, like a cardiologist specializes in the heart, I specialize in the trauma that is a result of what the patriarchy has done to women and what we have survived, without in any way minimalizing or trivializing what men experience. And who knows, that might be something that evolves for me in the future. But for now, this very much feels like what I was created to do, what the divine curriculum of my life has prepared me to do, and what I'm most successful at.
Absolutely. I totally get that. And I'm sure if you're out there listening, we'd love to have you on the show, right? There are people helping men because they've also been impacted by this systemic system we've set up. Even though they've benefited more, it's still not an equitable system or
At
even
what
a healthy
cost,
system, right?
right? They've benefited, but at a tremendous cost to their psyche.
Yeah, exactly. I know you had a free gift. So would you like to tell us about that and then share any, like you've already dropped some mic drops. So I was like, share some more gold nuggets, but I'm guessing you have plenty more in your pocket.
Let me see if I can dig one more up. I will share about the free gift, and then I will share a few closing thoughts. The free gift is a combination of a journaling exercise with an audio meditation, and it's called Befriending Your Voice. So it's a very, very light, very purposely light introduction to voice reclamation, because I am hesitant to put something deeper out there without there being guidance attached to it, right? This can become very emotional, and just the fact of having a sounding board or a community, that's why my work is group work. Okay. I believe in the sacredness of a container to facilitate healing. And I have seen it over and over again. So this little introductory piece is just to dip your toe in the water and get a little bit of a feel for the kinds of questions you can ask yourself. So it's a PDF with some journal questions, and there's a button that you can click on that will take you to an audio of me reading the guided meditation portion of it. So they work in combination. I'm told I have a soothing voice. I don't know. So hopefully that's pleasant to people. My Philly accent comes out a little bit, but what are you going to do? As long as they don't say water or coffee, we're okay, I guess, right? So that is the free gift. And I encourage anyone who is the least bit curious to pick me up on it and to hit reply and let me know what it meant to you. Definitely am not a person who likes monologues. Like, make it a conversation. If you get this free gift, tell me, hey, this led me to this realization, or hey, it fell flat. I wish you had included this. I'll listen. I love hearing things like that. So I'm up for a conversation. For me, that's the real gift, is the interaction, the connection, and the conversation. The other thing that I would say, Leslie, is that when you are doing any kind of work like this, my biggest encouragement is to show yourself the compassion that you would probably so readily show another person. This is brave work, okay? It is archaeology. It's soul archaeology. You're going to need a shovel. I've got it. I've got the shovel. I'm going to put it in your hands and I'm going to be next to you while you're digging. But got to put some back into it and you're going to get messy. You're going to get a little muddy, right? Think of Indiana Jones. Oh my God, I had such a crush on Indiana Jones, the first Indiana movie. Think of Indiana Jones. Like, he did not get to the treasure without a little bit of trial along the way. So there are places where sometimes the questions are a little uncomfortable. And I'd like to be really upfront with people and let them know this is brave work. It requires courage, but you are not doing it alone. You are doing it with a guide who has done it before you. You are doing it in a community of women where there is a safe and sacred container, where you are held, where you are listened to, where you are recognized and honored. So as long as you are doing it within those parameters, it is a very nurturing experience. And just let yourself have your own pace through it, right? And be gentle with yourself. Ask the questions, but be gentle with whatever feelings come up as you're going through the answers, because you are doing something that's kind of new in the world. This isn't this look back at generations and generational healing. This isn't something we've always done. This isn't something we've always had the luxury to do. Okay.
Right.
But we have it now. We have this opportunity. We have this invitation. Seize it, but do it with kindness to yourself in the process.
Yes. So true of when we do any sort of transformational work, right? Because I'm gonna always picture now Indiana Jones and yeah, the wobble and yeah, it didn't go all smooth all the time.
Right?
And if I could add on, because I think that was beautiful, but stay curious, right? Because if I can remove myself from what this means about me, and okay, let's pull on that string and see where it goes. And at the
Yeah.
end, I understand so much more. So yeah, very beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being on. Loved having you. You're a delight. I love what you're doing. I think it's so powerful and you're so powerful.
Thank you so much. I have treasured this opportunity. I'm really excited to connect with your listeners and to hear what they're taking away from this session. Please feel free to reach out to me with comments and questions. This is a movement whose time has come and we get to be part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of freaking exciting, right? I get a little excitable. All right. And everybody else, be sure and subscribe so that you don't miss more powerful conversations with super cool women like Marissa that are really, I think I could say this of all my guests, right? It's that story that lit them up and made them get curious about their own lives and other people's lives and has led now to missions and movements and really passions. And that's what we want for every single one of you out there, is to get passionate about what you're doing, find your tribe, and let's create that ripple effect in the world. All
Amen.
right, stay tuned.